here, and we're being broadcast around the world. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Solar Objections live action role play. I have the pleasure to introduce a big UFC fan, fellow poker player, Solar Pro, and my friend, Solar Joe.
Thanks, Bruce. And we are back for another week on the Solar Objections group live stream. And I have the pleasure to introduce my friend, Eddie Fernandez. If you guys don't know, Eddie is super experienced. He's not even technically a solar pro, but he knows so much about the solar industry. He's actually been in finance for 30 years. The last 10 years with Ygrene. And like I said, he's a wealth of information. Always learning something every time I get to talk to this guy. Eddie, thanks so much for making some time being with us today, man.
No, I really appreciate it, Joe. And it's just really important to do these things to make sure that we continue to grow the business in the right way. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Everybody watching, come on. Eddie is busy. He's making time for us. Go ahead, put in the chat. Thanks, Eddie, for being here. If you guys have any questions for him, take the opportunity. You know, this is sometimes we don't get really into financing questions and pace financing, and this would be a good opportunity to get those questions in there. And he is, like I said, a wealth of information, so he'll definitely be there to answer those questions. So go ahead and maybe put an objection in there too. Maybe he'll handle it for us. But if you guys want your name shown, make sure you go to the bottom of the post and click on the StreamYards link and give us permission to show your name, or just say Facebook user. Unless you just want to say that, that's fine too. But today, Eddie Fernandez is doing us the honor and kind of doing a solar financing, a 101, pace financing, a 101, and trying to help us understand that side of the game a little bit. Is that cool with you, Eddie?
I'd be happy to, man. Can't wait to get into it.
Let's go. So, Eddie, basically, we want to just kind of go into the beginning of this, kind of just go into solar financing basics. We can kind of go from there? A little bit about maybe.
What was that, Joe? I'm sorry. What's the last
maybe piece? A little bit about your background, too.
Yeah. So, you know, solar financing has so many options, right? So we could spend all day covering it. But I'll just say this, that you as a solar pro have so many options in the marketplace. And, there's, low interest rates, and, there's longer term, shorter terms. You have a plethora of things to go through. But we're going to focus a little bit on the PACE asset today to kind of bring it all together for you guys. We have some great content for you, hopefully, and then hopefully I can answer some questions as well. A little bit about me is I did spend 25 years in the mortgage business. And in 2017, just a little correction there. So Ygrene's been in business for 11 years. I've been with Ygrene for 4 years. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure I clarified that, just kind of moving forward. But so I transitioned into Ygrene in 2017. And, it was probably one of the best decisions, if not the best decision I've made in my career so far.
Awesome. So I want to just kind of go into the basics of what some of the terms in financing is, the terms, interest rates. Want to kind of hit on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, with Ygrene specific, we have 5 different options for every single property owner. They can pick a 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years. There's no prepayment penalties. They can do partial pay downs every year, as long as the term. So if they pick a 10-year term, they can knock down the principal balance every year, and it'll continually knock down their payment year over year, saving them tons of interest. And then as far as contractors go, you have a plethora of options, which we'll also talk about as well. But our interest rates range, no dealer fees, somewhere around the 7.99 range, elite contractors, 6.99. And then we go all the way down to 3.99 right now, with or without dealer fees. So we can talk a little bit about that later on.
Well, Eddie, after you've been in mortgage for 25 years, after all that time spent, why did you pick PACE as that best financing for solar? What do you think?
Well, I truly believe in it. As I alluded to earlier, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's an extremely impactful asset class. Newer to the market. There's some people that have some misconceptions about it. We'll talk about that as well. But the bottom line is that we provide options with the lowest payments in the marketplace that don't impact people's credit reports. There's no payments, there's no limits, there's no balances that live on their credit report that can also help them maintain a higher FICO score post borrowing the money and fixing the cost of their power at a lower amount than what they're paying right now to the utility.
To help more homeowners.
Absolutely. We take so many, and just so you know, just one thought that came to my mind, Joe, is, since we started our asset, we've effectively taken about 500,000 cars off the roads a year. That's how much impact Ygrene has made in the marketplace.
Wow. Say that again so everybody can hear that again.
So it was really great. We had a meeting the other day, and I was really, really proud to be a part of Ygrene, because one of the stats was that we have taken, which is the equivalent to 500,000 cars off of the road a year. In addition, while creating about 46,000 jobs.
That is amazing. So how do homeowners qualify? I know you mentioned a little bit. Can you go a little more detail what it takes for homeowners to qualify? And can you use a cosigner? Is that even a term that's in?
Yeah. So I'll tackle this one at a time. So qualifications for a property owner are pretty simple with PACE. In fact, it's the easiest financing to get the money in place, meaning as far as qualifying for it. So no FICO scores ever. We never look at FICO scores. We do pull credit. We look at two things. On time on your mortgage today with no more than 1 30-day late in the last 6 months. So that means you can have had 1 30-day late in your last 6 payments, as long as you're current today. You can still be in forbearance as well. So if at the time you went into forbearance, due to COVID reasons, as long as you're making an income again, or maybe sometimes you've never been laid off, that's okay as well. I mean, of course, we would prefer that. But when you're looking at the forbearance, as long as you met the criteria of the on time on mortgage with no more than 1 30-day late in the last 6 months, we're good there. The only other thing we look at on the credit report is 24 months out of bankruptcy, so the public records section. So if you've had lates on credit cards or things of that nature and you're trying to get caught up, that's not going to affect your ability to get approved with Ygrene.
So no credit score. It doesn't matter a credit score at all. That's not even a
No. And then I want to articulate just a couple more pieces of the puzzle. So when you're dealing with qualifying, you have to have at least 10% equity in your property, even though we don't take an equity position. So that's just one of the criteria. In addition to that, our debt to income ratio is $1. Okay. So you have to have a gross monthly income that is $1 more than all your current expenses plus whatever our payment breaks down to monthly. Okay, so I want to make sure I make that articulation. And then, of course, we're a property tax assessment. That's how customers pay us back. So we ping the county during our underwriting to make sure that they're on time on their credit. Now, the second piece to this is, can you use a cosigner? So we don't really call them cosigners because none of the debt lives on anybody's credit report. So it's not a credit-based cosigner. We call them household contributors. It can be any person that is willing to contribute to the household. So as long as the income, the gross monthly income for the property owners on title adds up to at least 70% of the qualifying income needed, they can make up that difference with any other person that would be willing to potentially contribute to that household to help them qualify. Now it's really important. Go ahead. What's up?
They have to live there though, right? They can't just say,
no, they don't. No,
they don't have to live there?
No. Also, I need from that household contributor. They don't have to live in the property. Okay. We need 4 things from them. We need their full name, their gross monthly income. We need their email and their phone number so we can contact them. We send them the form. They fill out the household contributor form, how much they're willing to contribute to that household should the need be. And then in addition, at the time that we're doing that, we do want to make sure that we verify their income as well. We will not pull that person's credit at all.
Man, so what's going on? Why isn't everybody using it? I see like it's there available and it's not being utilized other solar financing options that's charging a lot of dealer fees, and they check credit score pretty hardcore.
Yeah, so it's interesting because they are. Our business has grown in the last probably 36 months almost 450%. So, PACE has come a long way from what it used to be, and we'll cover a little bit of that later on. But honestly, there are, a lot of companies that don't use PACE in general. They may have some misnomers. They may think PACE is what it was. But at the end of the day, PACE is growing. We're stronger than we've ever been as an organization. And we have the right people to make sure that your property owners are taken care of, as well as the contractor partners that decide that they want to understand what PACE can offer their customers.
Well, let's talk about that. You talk about the evolution of PACE financing and how it was before and what it is now. Can you talk a little bit more details about how that is?
Yeah, this subject is near and dear to my heart, because this is one of the reasons why I moved into PACE from mortgage. There was just an absolute need for the right people to help contractors understand what PACE is, what PACE can offer, how to talk to a customer about it. And in addition to that, utilize me as somebody who's been in finance for a number of years that has a pretty good tenure to explain articulate these things. Consumer protections is at the highest rate that it's ever been with an organization like ours. It's in every conversation. We want to make sure those property owners are well taken care of, well educated, so they can make that right decision. And so PACE used to be, generally for the lower socioeconomic groups. And now contractors that are really taking the time to understand what PACE has to offer, we really are starting to break into that higher socioeconomic group, because they're the ones that can take advantage of this asset better than anyone.
We got some comments. We want to jump in if we can. Facebook user, change the game, Eddie. Just wish you were live in more states. So that's my next question for you, Eddie. Another comment. Is this national? So you see where these questions are going next.
Yeah.
You got to go into that, or did you want to keep going into evolution more? But I was curious about what states and what area is best for PACE financing right now.
Yeah. So, man, what a great question. I love this question because, like I alluded to earlier, PACE is growing, and Ygrene is growing at the fastest pace than any other PACE provider in the marketplace. So, why we're not in most states right now. So just to give you an idea of the evolution of PACE as well, because they kind of blend together. So in 2010, PACE was voted into law federally. So it's up to the states to adopt a PACE asset and then allow us to develop a program that works for that state, and then go to each jurisdiction and get voted in. So that's a tall task. It takes a lot of money. So what we've done is we've invested in the states that we feel have the most need and that we can have the most impact with our contractor partners on the communities that we serve. So we are currently in California, Florida, Missouri, Ohio, all residential, all commercial except for Ohio right now. We will be launching Ohio pretty soon. And then we are lending in at the city of Atlanta in the state of Georgia right now to have an impact on commercial only right now. And we plan on getting into the residential. And we are in a growth pattern. We believe that by the end of 2023, we'll be in about 17 states. So we're going to balloon from 5 to about 17 states is our plan. That we may gain more, we may not meet our mark, but that's our goal right now. Got it.
We're getting to Texas or any other big states?
Yeah, Texas is on the map as well. We've actually already come to terms with the state of Texas on a PACE asset to launch there. It just hasn't been economically feasible for us right now in the way that they want us to come to market. So we're working out some additional details with the state of Texas. So stay tuned on the state of Texas. I love the state of Texas. If I could buy a house there, I would probably buy a house there if we launched, just so I can go back and forth.
All right. So what I know we're talking about the PACE financing, and is this for everybody, or is there a specific type of homeowner we should be focusing on? Like, what type of homeowner is best for PACE financing?
Yeah. So traditionally we have served the contractors and the property owners when it first started as as maybe a secondary finance option for most of the contractors. Hey, credit decline. Hey, we can go to Ygrene for the no FICO option. They meet all the other criteria, but they didn't meet a FICO requirement. Or maybe they were close on a debt to income ratio, and the risk factors kind of threw them out with your unsecured partners. Ygrene is really for everybody. We've leveled the playing field, right? So the person with the 850 FICO score and the 450 FICO score, they get the same rates. They get the same white glove service that Ygrene has to offer. But there are some really important pieces that the higher socioeconomic groups really are resonating with. And, so also what's really important about that piece is we're seeing larger contract prices, right? So although we do solar, they get to do the HVAC and the windows and doors and roofing and attic insulation and ductwork and all that stuff is inclusive in our asset. So we're seeing larger projects on average, and as opposed to maybe a $30,000 average, I'm seeing about $110,000 average per home.
Wow. So talk a little more about that. What else do homeowners include in that PACE financing that's been popular, or are you seeing a trend in?
Yeah, so anything that reduces the carbon footprint, saves water, and seismic retrofit makes a property more safe in the case of a catastrophic event, right? Earthquake or hurricane. It's not going to slide off the foundation. So we're seeing a lot of foundation repair. We're seeing I'm seeing a lot of, in the commercial side, I'm seeing a lot of whole renovations where we can do the repiping and that stuff. But when you talk about homeowners that you guys are walking in the door and you're kind of picking apart, like, hey, it's great to have this solar, but their windows are from 1974, right? We see a lot of window jobs, a lot of siding jobs, and it's water conservation as well. So we see a ton of landscape. So taking out that old grass and putting in pavers. We do pergolas as well, patio covers, things of that nature, sunrooms. We're seeing a lot of those as well.
So I know we're talking about PACE financing, and you mentioned Ygrene. Obviously you're with Ygrene. What's the difference between the PACE programs, and why Ygrene? Why you choose that one specifically?
Well, so I chose Ygrene for a number of reasons. So if I could kind of bring them in to focus here, number one is at the time that I joined them, they had the best culture. Right. So they had the best people. They were extremely welcoming. And the second piece to that is, we work under a different law than all the other PACE providers, which has catapulted us to be the number one in the industry. So our founders, kudos to them. Dennis and Stacy, they did a great job in recognizing that a new PACE law was coming out right after the first one. And it has really set us up for the future to grow with our contractor partners. And we can fund things that other PACE providers can't. We have other jurisdictions that they don't, and they may never get. And that also gives us the ability to have a better secondary finance option for our secondary market. So it makes us stronger. It's more attractive to investors, and that's why we have more money than the other PACE providers.
Do you notice companies offer multiple PACE programs, or do they usually focus on one and that's it, or that they have to pick multiple because of the areas they're in?
Yeah, so I would say that there's kind of two categories of contractors that I run into. There's one that they just love one PACE provider. They like to have one or two other unsecured options. But with regard to PACE, quite honestly, this may not be probably the best thing, but I'm transparent, right? To say as a Ygrene employee, like I would encourage my contractors to have at least one other option than Ygrene. Right? Because we can't cover every single jurisdiction. There's some jurisdictions that another PACE provider might be in that we're not. We have most of the jurisdictions, but again, we want you to capture every single deal possible. And I have no problem going up against another PACE provider or unsecured, because our service levels are at the highest of any asset class in the world.
Are you going against other PACE providers? Is it like that, or is it like you guys?
Yeah, every single day, pretty much. We have, again, I help my contractors win. That's the number one thing about, and that's going to kind of be the next thing we'll bleed into. But because Ygrene has such a strong asset and we're able to make decisions on the fly, we're a private organization. We feel really, really comfortable staying within the guidelines, keeping the consumer protections at the highest level. And we have probably 3 to 4 people that jump in on every single file, right? And so when we're talking about going up against somebody else, our contractors love us because I'll jump in the trenches with them. And what does that mean? That just means doing the right thing for the property owner, making sure that they have the right options on the table to make that educated decision. It's not just about a sale with us, right? It's about the right sale. It's about the right finance option. And that's what really, really it makes me comfortable in saying that I work with Ygrene, because it's from the top all the way to every single employee that spreads out across the country that's trying to serve our property owners, our contractor partners.
I could tell you guys firsthand, Eddie definitely gets in the trenches. He's definitely working. He's definitely helping the solar pros out, helping the homeowners out, helping solar pros close deals. So if you guys have any questions, you want to reach out, definitely don't hesitate. Reach out to Eddie right away. So speaking of Ygrene, I know you mentioned how they separated themselves apart from the competition, and they're in a handful of states right now. What's next for Ygrene? Is there something else we should be expecting, or they're just getting bigger and growing in more states?
Yeah, so we are growing. I alluded to I already kind of gave you the numbers of where we're going. What our goals are to get into some other states. We are looking for a ton of commercial opportunities across the country, even if it's in a state that we're not in. Right from the top, our Greg Moore out of Chicago, Illinois. I'm not sure. I think he's in Chicago, but I know he's in the state of Illinois. He may be in a suburb. But Greg Moore is our new director of commercial for Ygrene, and he's straight up said in a meeting, "Hey, if it's in a state, if there's a deal in a state where we're not in right now, and we've got a deal with a contractor, and we want to take a look at it. Even if it's one project, if it makes sense for Ygrene to spend the money to service that customer and to service that contractor, we'll take a look at it. So you guys feel free to reach out to me on that. And I'll just say, in addition to that, is our goal is to service every single property across the country. And so at some level, in some methodical, wonderful process, we will be able to hopefully get into every single state. I'm not sure if it'll happen in my lifetime, but if it can, I'm going to be a part of that growth.
That sounds awesome. Okay, so how about, I know you personally, I know what you put into every deal and every conversation and every communication, every email, and you put your passion and heart and everything, but tell everybody else, like, why you? What do you bring to the table that maybe another finance guy can't?
Yeah, so I try and stay as humble as possible. I do have a ton of experience. So when I say these things, it's just, to give you guys kind of information about who I am and what I can provide. It's not more bragatory. So I'm not that kind of guy. I love helping contractors. So I'll just say this. When somebody asks me why Eddie Fernandez, it's a really simple thing, is I want you to win, right? Like my goal at this point in my life, I'm 50 years old, I'm on the tail end of my career, probably another 15, 20 years working, or I may work until the day I die. But all those days that I get up, right, I want to make sure that every single partner that I have wins. They win every single deal that they have an opportunity. And because I have that attitude, I am unsolicited, get back tenfold. And I think if I were to kind of put it on is I'm here to help every single person, whether you're my account or not. Within Ygrene, if we end up on the phone, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to hand it off to the rep that within Ygrene that supports they may not have been available at that time. I'm certainly willing to do that, because what's important is that we serve these customers in the right manner. And in addition to wanting you win, I have a plethora of experience. I've been dealing with property owners since 1992. And I've been dealing with people before that, right? We started as a young age, played sports and things of that nature. And, one of the first things that they teach you when you join a team, soccer, baseball, football, whatever it is sell these candy bars, go door to door, get your neighbors, get your uncle, get your aunt, to buy these things. We need money so that we can go on this trip, or we can, get uniforms or whatever. And so since an early age, I was taught how to communicate with people. And in addition to that, my parents instilled me that you've got to work hard. My biological father was a police officer, and he also owned a masonry business. And so at the age of 13, 14 years old, we were packing cement blocks to the back of the house so that he could continue to just lay block on his days off, so to speak. Those were his days off. So, yeah.
Facebook user wanted to throw in there, the passion is so authentic. Not sure who it is. We'll see afterwards.
Yeah, well, that's kind of alludes to the question here is, I do have a lot of passion for people winning. I have a lot of passion in helping people service their communities in the right manner. And there's no substitute for that. Like there's nobody that could ever take that away from me. Right. Is I give every single day. And again, I'm extremely busy as well. Right. Because of it. And because I don't have any strings attached to any conversation that I may be having, it bleeds through. So thank you so much for saying that. I really, really appreciate that. I'm super grateful.
Well, speaking of that, you've given so much, you've done so much in your career, Ygrene and financing and solar. You have what's your next plans? What's next for you?
Yeah, so we kind of touched on this with Ygrene, but my goal is honestly to create an earth that my kids can live and be proud of. That they said that their dad did that. He helped, whatever that may be, right? And I'll tell you, I have 3 children, 2 of them stepchildren that I inherited, and I didn't have any kids, and I was never going to have any kids because I didn't want to bring a child into this world because I could see the writing on the walls years ago about, climate change and pollution and the way that people treated each other. And I met a wonderful woman, and she had 2 children, and she ended up getting pregnant, and now I have 3, right? And so it's up to us. It's up to me to leave a world that they can be proud of. And that's what my goal is at this point. That's why I transitioned from mortgage into the carbon reducing, water conservation, and seismic retrofit space.
Man, I love it. You say it so well too. We got another comment here from Mr. Jake Hess. He wanted to add in, Eddie is by far one of my favorite people in the biz. He has taught me so much and knows more than anyone I know about any loan.
Well, I appreciate that, Jake. So I'm glad that I know more than anybody that about loans. I'm sure there's somebody that knows more than me, and I'd be happy for them to have a conversation with me. I'm an information hog, and I want to make sure that I know as much as I can that I can pack into my brain so that I can help other people. And I think that's one thing that I really want to anybody that's on here. I want you to know that, my door is always open. My phones are always on. Like, I have contractors that call me at 11:39. Now I don't love that. And my family doesn't love that, but it is what it is, and sometimes it's just a conversation about, what's going on in their life and about setting goals and things of that nature. And I'm certainly willing to help in that manner as well. It's not just always about the sale, right? It's about life. We are in this life together, and we want to make sure that we support each other in the right ways so that when you get up that next morning, I want you to be able to be in a mindset to where you can win, that you make that phone call that needs to be made, that you're not so distracted that you feel like, man, I'll do that in 15 minutes. I need to get my head straight. And if you do that, here's my advice to you. My advice is go take a walk, go take your kid out of school, right? On a Tuesday. Go pick them up, show up unannounced, take them to a movie. Nobody's going to be hurt by that. It's only going to be positive vibes for you.
Eddie is a team player. He's definitely a collaborator. He's willing to work with people. And everybody says great things about Eddie. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Eddie. And he does motivation speeches. Like, he's really influential, helps solar pros get organized on Clubhouse, and really is always giving value. Can you talk about a little bit about you're so passionate. Any mentors out there, or anybody that you really looked up to that got to where you are now, or is this just all you?
Well, so everybody should have a mentor. Mentors come in different arrays throughout your life. So mentors can't be selected; they just appear. And I'll say that I have so many mentors that I can't pick one that was the most impactful, because I looked at every conversation that way. But if I were to say that there are certain people that have crossed my path, I would say the number one mentor that I had in my life was my mother. And I'm going to get emotional here. So yeah, she was the right person for me to be her son. And so she absolutely loved and adored all of her kids, and made me absolutely feel that I could do anything. And I think that's what we need to look for in mentors.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for being vulnerable live here. And, I want to ask, I know we kind of went quick. You have a few more minutes to ask you a couple more questions just about you, personally?
Sure. I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ed. I know that you're so busy, you have so many things going on, but we talked so much about financing and business and solar. Well, how about you? What are some of your hobbies? What things you like to do? You talk about your family and what hobbies you like to do besides that?
Well, there's a lot of things that I love to do that I don't do because I don't have a lot of time to do those things, and that goes to do what you say. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. So I give a lot of advice to it. But I love playing slow pitch softball. I haven't had the best health, like body wise, because I have played sports my whole life, and I'm a little beat up, but I'm going to get back into it here real soon. So I love slow pitch softball. I play competitively across the country. I'm getting back into that actually right now. In fact, I was just having some text messages come in on a new team that's going to pick me up here in a certain area of California.
That means you're feeling healthy then.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel healthy. Yeah, traction and physical therapy and chiropractor, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Don't get old, right? But yeah, I love camping. I love golfing. I used to be a good golfer, not so much anymore. I'm looking to get back into that some more. And I will tell you, man, there's nothing better than being off the coast on a tuna trip. Man, I'm going to tell you, I used to work at Long Beach Sport Fishing as a kid. I grew up in Long Beach, California. It just probably one of my favorite things was being out in the ocean. There's no land around, and to see these fish come boil across the ocean, and to be a deckhand, and to be somebody who worked at Long Beach Sport Fishing, and to be somebody who could help in the joy of somebody catching a fish as big as them. Was a ton of fun, and I got to catch a ton of fish myself. So I absolutely love being on the water.
So we need to learn more about you personally too, but we're getting back into business. We got a question in the comments here. Jake has a question for you. When he is presenting, or Solar Pro is presenting, aside from educating the homeowner about the PACE loan in detail, what are some good one-liners to say if reps have beat up PACE up before I present it?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Jake, because that's the question that I get mostly, right? Is an objection to PACE, whether it's like it's a lien on the property, right? So that's the number one people go to. Like when they beat up PACE, they're like, "Oh, you're liening the property." A lien is not a bad thing. Like I don't understand what the big deal. Like I did mortgages for a year. I liened property. I've liened tens of thousands of properties over my career. Right? A mortgage is a lien. A HELOC is a lien on the property. The fact that if you want to refi, that you may have to pay off a PACE asset, at least you have the option, right? With a mortgage, if you take out more money and you do a cash refi and you need to do a refi in the future, you have to pay off all that debt anyway. So what are we talking about? Like, I don't say it in that manner, but it's really passionate. It's a really passionate subject for me because I don't know who created it. Some people love that, to that talk track of saying that PACE is bad because it puts a lien on the property. But the property tax bill is a lien already. All we're doing is amending the lien that's already there to show that somebody owes us money. That's how we can tell the county how much to collect. Just like a mortgage tells the county how much to collect per month, how much they're going to be collecting per month in their mortgage statement. We're just doing it through the county. Not a big deal. So so to get back to kind of take that information and frame it into a one-liner is PACE was created to help property owners just like you. Okay. If we take a little bit of time to kind of go through the steps and understand it a little bit more, I'd be happy to educate you on that.
There you go, Jake. The satisfactory answer there. You guys have any other questions about PACE? Go ahead. Go put it in the comments now. We only have probably a couple more minutes here with Eddie. As we do that, Eddie, hey, I just, for me, man, you know, we're trying to educate the community. And we're not only about solar, it's about business and how to treat homeowners, how to deal with the follow-up. And I know you're really good with follow-up. Any tips you can give to the audience about really good follow-up?
Absolutely. You alluded to it earlier, be organized. Like, you're in business, right? I mean, you're the CEO of your own day, right? So, you know, if you're going to be a solar pro, you've got to treat yourself like a business, and you've got to make decisions based upon the CEO. What would the CEO of this company do? And the CEO is absolutely going to make that phone call, right? Anything they can do in less than 2 minutes, they're going to do now, right? If you get overwhelmed, there's some tasks that are going to take you a half an hour, 2 hours, sometimes a couple of days, right? So pick the ones that you can do the quickest. This is how I organize my talk tracks and my, I'm sorry, not my talk tracks. This is how I personally organize my tasks and prioritize them is probably the best way. Is anything I can do in less than 2 minutes, I do now. Okay. You can get through 10 tasks in less than 10 minutes, right? So, or less than 20 minutes, excuse me. So if you get through 10 tasks in 20 minutes, that's a big chunk. You probably don't have more than 50 things to do that absolutely have to be done in a day. And if you can get those done in less than a half an hour, okay, you're well on your way to making sure that you get to the rest of the things that need to be done.
Perfect. I'm only going to pick your mind for a couple more minutes, couple more questions. And I really like to focus on the newer people in solar so we can get them started. But before I do that, I got another comment. Mr. Kenny Perry wanted to throw in his comment. 2 of the best dudes right here. Dang, I will be rewatching this one. Big up, fellas. Kenny Perry, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, Kenny. I mean, you know, coming from a guy like you who I just know and respect and you know, it just means the world to me. And I really appreciate you saying that. You know, I really hope that your new business continues to take off and that you and your wife really grow it in the right way. I know you will, but I can't wish more for you. So I appreciate you saying that.
And I'm just glad that I was put in the same category as you. Thanks, Kenny.
Oh, come on. You're amazing.
Thank you. I'll take it. I appreciate it. But last question I have is really to help the newer people in the solar industry. And I know you're not a solar pro, but you've seen successful solar pros and you've seen where they fall to their next career. What would you say is the best advice you can give to a new person joining the solar industry?
Yeah. Take the advice, pick the best pieces. After you've picked the best pieces, write them down, figure out which ones you can implement. That's probably my number one. And my number 2 is as you walk into a home or before you walk into a home, you take a deep breath. Take what you believe the property owner wants and needs out of your mind, okay? And allow your training, okay, the basis as to which, okay, you felt confident enough to walk into that door. So what does your proposal look like, right? All of those things, okay, is make sure that you don't go in there with a preconceived notion of what your property owner wants. And the reason you're going to do that is because if you have a preconceived notion of the products that you're going to present, like financing, right? This is a great, I mean, the top 1% across the country, this is what they do, guys and gals, is when they walk in the door, they have a clear mind They know that they're going to be presenting, and they let the conversation unfold. And they present the options, okay, that are best for the customer based upon their wants and needs. We already know they need solar, right? They need to get off the grid. We know that they're going to save tens of thousands of dollars. Now it's time for the conversation to happen. And as you ask questions to the customer, the answer will reveal itself because they're going to tell you the answer. If you go in there, guns a-blazing, I've got the best rate at this bank, they may not want that bank. I've got the best product. This is the best product. They may not want that product. And that's my message to you right now. So thank you for letting me answer that question, Joe.
That's awesome. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, Eddie, man, like a lot of people don't want to probably reach out about financing Ygrene Pace, just talk to you. How can they reach out to you? What's the best way?
Yeah. So text message is the number one way to get a hold of me. Just because my phone I'm constantly on it. But I do get back to every single person. So there's not a person that I don't get back to. Okay. So, feel free to reach out to me. My corporate Ygrene cell is 209-380-3044. My personal line, 925-922-1335. And then, of course, my email address is my name with a dot in the middle, Eddie.Fernandez at Ygrene, spelled YGRENE.com. So it's energy spelled backwards for y'all.
If you guys missed that, rewind it and listen to it again. Make sure you got those numbers. Make sure you know how to spell Ygrene. It's energy spelled backwards. You'll never forget how to spell it again. Right, Eddie?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So are there any other questions? Is there any other things that you wanted to go over, Joe, before we kind of wrap here?
The last thing is your last thoughts. Anything else you want to leave off with? Anything else you want to leave the Solar Pro community with?
It's up to us, right? We're the stewards of this industry. As far as the industry has come, there's so much more work to do. At the pace that we're putting glass on houses, it's not going to work, right? It's not going to work. We have to do it in the right manner. And everybody that has the opportunity to sell right now and to meet with customers and do good, let's do it in the right manner. And here's the reason why, okay? The look back period is unforgiving. What you do today, you can't change, right? And so what does that mean? That means that you need to make sure that you're selling in the right manner, not forcing a customer to sign on the dotted line before you leave a home because you want the sale and you want the commission, right? It's making sure that property owner has a wonderful experience. They're doing something good already. They're getting off the grid. They're stopping the monopoly of the power companies charging exorbitant amount of monies, whatever they want. Southern California just had a 9% increase. That's insane. So it's up to us, right, to make sure that when we meet with these customers, that we have their best interests. And the more people you serve in that manner, you will be given the opportunity to grow your business far beyond the hard sale.
I couldn't have said it better myself. We got a couple more comments before I let you go. Pete Brunwasser wanted to say, when you realize Ygrene is energy spelled backwards, I think he has mind blown.
Yeah, I get that a lot. They're like, what? Oh, I never would have gotten that, and some of them may not. But yeah, no, I kind of did the same thing. I thought it was extremely clever. And it just goes to show that the thought process of Stacy and Dennis when they were founding Ygrene, and Bart for that matter had a hand in it, I believe. They really thought about what was going to be our goal, right? And that's to turn energy on its head, right?
There you go. I like that. Eddie, man, thank you so much for taking your time. I know yours so much value you gave us. And next week, we have another big name in the solar industry coming on. If you guys know Rich Fiola with Solar Exclusive. pretty excited to pick his mind about online lead generation and about solar exclusive. But I'm so excited to have him on next week. But Eddie, again, you are the man. We're definitely going to keep talking. If you guys are going to reach out to Eddie. We'll do it again. All right.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Later.
Bye.